Streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and blasttheradio.com, this is The Lowell Green Show. The number to call and be heard around the world is 613-413-2217. Or email Lowell at blasttheradio.com. And now, here is Lowell Green.
A fall election. What do you think? What's your feeling about a fall election? Would you welcome it? Or are you afraid what might happen? Well, it's true that Jagmeet Singh and his gang have sworn to keep Trudeau and his bumblers and stumblers in power for another 3 years. Rumors are running rampant that Trudeau may pull a fast one, call an election for this November, before the new Conservative leader has the time to get his feet wet and the country has a chance to have a good look at him or her. And some are also saying another reason that he may go to the polls before the end of this year is that Trudeau knows that the economy is only going to get worse. Particularly this winter, people are really going to begin to suffer, and he wants to go to the electorate before people really have a chance to pay the price for inflation, etc., etc. And another liberal source, this is very interesting, liberal source says that for sure we will have a fall election if Pierre Poilievre wins the Conservative leadership, because they're afraid that his message about putting the country back to work, opening the economy, building pipelines, will resonate very strongly as inflation continues to climb. So I don't know, but I'm going to tell you something. It wouldn't surprise me. It would be very sneaky, but I mean, this is a guy that's invented sneaky, right? And of course, as usual, the media would go along with this and support him, etc., etc. But what do you think? Calling an election before the new Conservative leader has a chance to even, I guess, furnish his or her office wouldn't surprise me one little bit. What do you think? What are you hearing? Are you hearing anything, or is this news to you? And, oh God, I have a question for conservatives out there, okay? Or at least anybody that wants to get rid of Trudeau. Can those of us conservatives and those who just want to get rid of Trudeau, can we rally around whoever leads the Conservative Party? Or are we going to break off into these little splinter groups, little grievances, this, that, and well, I don't like the way he brushes his hair. I don't like the way he smiles, that kind of stuff. Are we going to be able to this time rally around whoever the leader is? Very clearly, I mean, there are 4 or 5 people running, so some people are going to be disappointed that their candidate doesn't win. But are we going to be smart enough to rally around whoever it is and get rid of, unquestionably, the most dangerous, damaging person we have ever had leading a country, okay, certainly in the Western world? It would seem to me, some of you may take issue with me on this, and that's fine. It would seem to me that if you really care about Canada, that you would let all the petty grievances go by this time, okay? If you want to support Mad Max or, I don't know, Joe Blow or Bing Bang Bong or whoever the hell it is, can you think about the country? You know that Max is not going to win. You know that Bing Bang Bong's not going to win. All you're doing is draining votes away from the one party that has a good chance of winning. As a matter of fact, if you have a look at the results of the last federal election, you will see it had people not voted for Mad Max and a couple of other splinter parties, that the conservatives may very well have won. And we would not be going through some of the pain that we are now. So I'm just asking, what do you think? But most of you people who are watching, listening, are conservatives. Are we prepared? Are you prepared? No matter who is elected, to support them. Man, woman, child, beast, chicken, free, whoever wins. Are you prepared to swallow whatever disappointments you may have? They don't like the way they wear their shoes or whatever it is. I mean, can we just for once just think about the country? What is best for the country? If you want to get rid of Trudeau, God knows we need to. If you want to get rid of Trudeau, there's only one party that can do it. But it can't do it without your vote. So I'm just asking, what do you think? I know that some of you people out there voted for Max last time, or I don't know, the pink party, the blue party, the purple party, whatever. And like it just drove me crazy. But anyway, you had a right to do it, and you got a right to do it this time. But if you really, 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 really care about the country, can we just for once get together and give this guy a pounding? Aye, aye, aye. What do you think, folks? What do you think? What do you think about a fall election? Would you welcome it? Do you think that? In November, we elected the new leader of the Conservatives on September 10th. So if an election were held, let's say a month later, it would not give the new leader a chance for the people to really have a good look at him or her. It would be very sneaky, underhanded, but very liberal to do this. Very Trudeau. What are you hearing? What do you think? And do you think for once conservatives can get their act together and rally around whoever leads? John, what are people saying here?
All right, let's go to YouTube. We had a comment there from Lisa just a moment ago. I'll put it back on the screen. Justin is very afraid of Pierre. If he's campaigning, it's due to fear of facing the intellectual Pierre Poilievre off in debates. He wants to keep pushing ahead for the next election. Eileen says we have to get rid of Trudeau, but I agree. That goes for you, the media. People stop picking holes in our candidates. Let's just get rid of Trudeau. And says, I don't know. Sure looks like he's campaigning to me. Let's go
Yeah,
to...
that's a very good point.
Yep.
In fact, Brian Lilly makes that point today in the Sun. He's been all over the country. He's, with children something or other here and something in Sudbury and gets a new hair. By the way, I don't want to get bogged down with a haircut.
No.
But essentially, she's quite right. He's been. There's no question in my mind that he's off campaigning right now. I don't know. If let's say he calls an election for early November, will that give the new conservative leader a fair chance for people to get to know him or her? What do you think, John? What else have we got here?
Penny says if we could get rid of Trudeau, I am all for it. Our war chest says Craig is strong. Our new leader, Pierre, will be ready and quite capable of winning a majority over the Liberals in a fall election.
Yeah, the only thing is, Craig, what worries me, he would be elected on the 10th. Don't forget, there's going to be some division, okay? There's, what is it, 5 candidates now left. And Patrick Brown is still out there, stirring up the crapola and everything else. So there's going to be some dissatisfied people following the leadership. Whether they'll have chance to sort of cool down before there's an election, I don't know. The only way I'm going to tell you, and I know I'm pounding on this, the only way that Trudeau is going to be defeated is if people who want to defeat him stick together and don't break off into silly little splinter groups. That's the only way. So, like, if Mad Max or whoever the hell else wants to break, these people are doing a terrible disservice to this country. Go ahead, John.
Back to YouTube, where Lisa says his PR team are trying to think of ways that make Justin look smarter, but it appears to have sadly backfired. Sonia says he's crisscrossing the country the last couple of weeks. This is what Trudeau does best, campaigning. First time I marked an X was on board HMCS Saguenay in 84 for Skipper Johnson, PC, from my home, Newfoundland, federal riding, says Kirk.
Wait a minute. How about responding to any of my topics here?
That'd be insane, Lowell.
If you could just respond to my topic, do you think it's possible? Do you think it would be a good thing, or is it danger? Can conservatives get together this time? These are some of the questions that are out there. I appreciate the fact you voted for somebody aboard the Saguenay, but
in 1984.
In 1984. Could we get just a little bit more current here, please? Go ahead, John. By the way, I have to tell you, so here one of the things that Pierre Poilievre is campaigning at, he says, look, we're going, if I become prime minister, we are going to build pipelines. And he's also, thank God, talking about the fact that we're going to construct liquid natural gas plants. He points out, in his little speech today, he says that this government has canceled 15 liquid natural gas plants. My count is 18, but 15, 18. That's the fact of the matter is, every single liquefied natural gas plant that was planned for this country, Trudeau managed to get it canceled. As a consequence, of course, we can't ship natural gas or oil to our friends in Europe, and so they must buy from Russia, which helps to pay for the bombs in Ukraine. So what does Trudeau do? He won't allow pipelines to be built here, but he helps Russia with their pipelines. So he's all in favor of pipelines now. The only problem is it's a Russian pipeline shipped off 6 turbines to help the Russian. He says, it's to help Germany. Give me a break. What a guy. What a nun. And you know what, folks? If you don't vote to get rid of this guy, no matter what your political bent, then you really, really don't care about this country. That's my opinion. Go ahead, please, John.
Was it not like a week ago we were talking about, Trudeau probably stepping down and someone like Chrystia Freeland actually being the Liberal leader by the time we went to the polls again? So suddenly we're afraid of everything that Pierre is saying because it makes sense. So we better call an election in order for that. Like, how about we just adopt some policies that make sense?
Well, I don't know where this story came about him stepping down. I mean, this is
It's been out there for a while, though, Lowell.
This is a man with an ego as big as a barn, okay, and about as dumb. But anyway, there's no way that he's going to step down. This man is as an ego, as I say. You can't get an ego any bigger than that. He ain't going to quit. Believe me. Go ahead.
Well, then I think a fall election is just you want to get Canadians actually paying attention. Do that. It's way too soon, in my opinion. Okay. 613-413-2217 is the number. We welcome your calls and your texts. Here's a text for you, Lowell. A fall election would mean he learned nothing from the last early election call. Can he really be that stupid? And that's pretty much what I was saying.
Oh, wait a minute. The lesson he learned in the last election call was that he can win, even though he lost the popular vote, primarily because some of the conservatives went off and voted for, Mad Max, etc., and drained the vote away. He won. And he's counting on that again. He's counting on conservatives once again, having these petty little grievances and refusing to back the only person that can win. Go ahead, John.
Love him or hate him, I think if anybody can hit the ground running in a campaign, it's Pierre Poilievre.
Yeah, he's campaigning right now and doing it very well for sure. But there's still a lot of hesitancy out there, particularly among women. This is the problem. It's women who support. Not every woman, but overwhelmingly, it's women who elect Trudeau, and it's women who are very leery about Pierre Poilievre. And this is the problem. And go ahead, John.
Let's go to email Lowell@blasttheradio.com. Rob in Carlton Place, good to hear from you. He says, I don't care who leads the party. I will always vote Conservative. That said, I mailed my ballot for Pierre this morning. After the last 2 disasters, I decided I wanted to have a say. This country desperately needs an intelligent Conservative leader. To use your words, I weep for this country. Let's go to text, 613-413-2217. I do not welcome a new election. I vote for Pierre Poilievre. I trust him. Trudeau needs to go. Please, Liberals, at least get that right. Make Trudeau leave. I have had enough of him.
The Liberals aren't going to... Wait, hold on. The Liberals aren't going to make him... Hey, folks, Justin Trudeau is the Liberal brand right now. People are not voting for the Liberal Party. They're voting for Trudeau. He is the brand. He's the Campbell soup of politics.
You're right.
You can write that one down, John. Okay. He's the Heinz of the ketchup world. Okay. He is the brand. Liberals aren't going to get rid of him. That's why Liberals tremble, anytime Trudeau is around. They realize that without him, they're nowhere. Go ahead, John, please.
Let's go to, the comments are coming in fast and furious. This is awesome, guys. Keep it up. Sonia says, another $600 million for another election a year after the last one. How can he justify this? As much as I can't stand the guy, I don't think we should have another election. The mainstream media always gives this guy a pass. Bring on an election, says Eileen. In November, Pierre is on top of everything.
Yeah, by the way, talking about the media, are you aware of the fact that the Toronto Star describes Pierre Poilievre as Canada's most appalling politician? They call him an appalling person. This is where the left. So this is why I say to people out there who want to get rid of Trudeau, this is what conservatives are up against. This kind of media coverage. And you're going to get it from almost every segment of the media, possible exception the Sun chain. So in order to, if you're going to win, if we're going to get rid of this guy, we got to stick together. No more Mad Max vote. Okay, I don't care, you love the guy or whatever it is. If you really care about the country, you really want to get rid of this desperate, you got to stick together. Go ahead, John.
Listen, we're 17 minutes into the show. Let's get a word in for our friends at Shields.
Yes. Talking about sticking together. If you really support local, then you got to deal with Shields. Well, it certainly would be a good idea. And by the way, this holds true for the butcher shop as well. I keep saying, the butcher shop is local. By local, I don't mean, Northern Ontario. I'm talking about the Ottawa Valley. That's where they get their meat. Poultry, pork, beef, etc. The Ottawa Valley. They specialize in that. It's extremely fresh, and the price is let's face it, the price of meat these days is skyrocketing. But Shields does everything it can to keep them as low as they can. Same holds true for the appliances, and I do want to repeat the fact that yes, they have very good finance plans. Just let them. You'll see the finance plans on the website. You can pretty well write your own finance deal, including not paying until 2024. So, you know what, folks? Local, very reasonably priced, quick delivery, good folks, local folks, family operated. Shields.ca. John, just before we go back, I have to give you my daily report on how well the $8 to $10 billion in Ontario we spent on wind and solar is paying off for us, okay? According to the Auditor General, wind and solar has cost the taxpayers of Ontario somewhere between $8 and $10 billion. Well, yesterday, it was about 5% of our needs. Today, 4.2%. For the past 3 weeks, we have not been able to get above 5% of our needs. At 1 o'clock today, Ontario was burning 19,180 megawatts of power. Wind was producing 659, solar 162. I love the solar. Solar right now would not power carp, okay? $8 to $10 billion, including many billions of dollars for solar, and it wouldn't power carp right now. Oh, God. 4.2. To be very accurate and very honest, folks, it's 4.28% at 1 o'clock today. John, back to you, my boy.
City News. Actually, I was thinking of you this morning. They had this story this morning. The electricity system operator says Ontario is already using hydro to its max. Ontario seeks new electricity generation as demand rises. Like, how
That's
the hell do we go all electric cars if we can't handle, like, we don't have enough supply now? I don't
well,
get it.
we're not at maximum. If you go to IESO, you will see the maximum. Most days we only use about half the power that's available from hydro. In other words, from falling water in our dams. So we use all the power we can get from nuclear. That is true. But we only use about half the most days about half the power available from hydro, which is the cleanest power of all. Go ahead, John.
All right, moving on. Let's get to some of the comments here. Again,
Yeah.
Craig says he won with 32.3% of the electorate, the smallest in Canadian history. It's my belief enough Canadians will vote for Pierre and the Conservatives. Macaulay, I started to read your comment, and then we had to move on to something else. Some people are too boneheaded to understand the chip on their shoulder towards the CCP for whatever reason will unfortunately continue to split the vote. So sad and so frustrating.
Yeah, it is, and last time, and if you do it, they took about 4.5, almost 5% of the vote already. As I say, the Conservatives won the popular vote last time, and had they not had all of these votes bleed off through these splinter parties, they could very well have won the election. That's how serious it is. Go ahead, John.
It's summertime. People use air conditioners, especially in this heat, says Cynthia. The problem with the Conservatives, says Lisa, is there's way too much infighting. Polyev will have a mountain to climb, not only with fixing all of Trudeau's blunders and mind-boggling spending, but also his own party. Mike says, and of course, I'd love to get him out of there. Him and his new haircut, LOL. Does anybody else think he looks like Jim Carrey from Dumb and Dumber? Joshua says, not that I wouldn't welcome a chance to get Trudeau out, but, of course, there's a chance he wastes more millions of taxpayer dollars to possibly end up with what he already has, just like the last time. James, I wouldn't put anything past Crooked Justin. Back to Craig, who says, we're sending our ballots in with Pierre's first choice and Charest last. Jean, I got your name right this time, Jean. I'm game, she says. Be smart enough to focus our votes on one party and ensure it happens. Just get him
My question is, I appreciate this, but my question is, in your experience, do you think this time maybe we can stop it with all of these splinter parties? And I know that some of you listening voted a splinter party last time. This time, can you pull yourself back and realize that the only way to beat Trudeau is we got to rally around? No matter who you may hate, whoever the leader is, but he's the leader. Will you drop these grievances this time, at least to get rid of Trudeau? Well, that's my question here. Go ahead, please.
All right, I will get that up on the screen so we get direct answers to that question in just a matter of moments. Lisa says he just needs to secure another year. Same shit, different year, she says. All right, Peter, hear it more and more every day about a fall election. Anytime he fixes up his hair, it's a telltale sign. Pierre can beat him anytime he could call an election. I'll rally with the devil to get rid of that Trudeau and his band of woke moral misfits. Erlene, already have my ballot in for the leadership. Gregory says Liberals should bring back the former Attorney General to take over the Liberal leadership. I think she would be their only hope of credibility.
That's not going to happen. Let's deal with reality, okay? These wishes, these fairy dreams. Trudeau is the brand. He's the Liberal brand right now. He's going to head the party. There's a fairly decent chance there's going to be in a fall election. My question is, would you welcome this? Or do you think that it would be just too soon, wouldn't give Pierre enough time? If you could address these questions, I would really appreciate it. I might pass some of the messages on to Pierre as well. Go ahead, please.
So the question I've got on the screen now, and feel free to correct it, are you prepared to not vote for fringe parties in order to get Trudeau out?
Good point. Good question. Good. Okay. You phrased it well.
There we go. So let's get those answers rolling in for that. Patrick Brown is running for mayor of Brampton again, by the way. Yes, I've heard twice now that that's the case. So all Conservatives need to stand together, says Mike. Conservatives all the way is Cynthia's comment. Doesn't matter who goes in, they have a mess to clean up from this government. To YouTube, and Woodenhead says, I will support the new Conservative leader just to get rid of Justin and the Liberals. We can then be critical of the new leader once they
Very good. Thank you very much. That's my point. Get rid of them, and then if the new leader is not doing what you want, then at that point, speak out, do whatever you can, and get him to get him or her to change. Go ahead.
Joshua, at the least, it's essentially saying, can we be smart enough to vote for the lesser of two evils? You may like someone else more, but priority one should be to get Trudeau out.
Thank you.
Don't welcome an election, says Anne. If there is one called, Pierre can definitely handle it. Andre, if you think Pierre Poilievre is strong enough to beat Justin Trudeau, then what does it matter? You all won't get out and vote anyways. Kirk says,
wait a minute, hold on.
Yep.
Read that again. I don't understand that.
If you think Pierre Poilievre is strong enough to beat Justin Trudeau, then what does it matter? You all won't get out and vote anyways.
With all due respect, that comment doesn't really make much sense. He's strong enough, but provided that we stick together and vote for him. But if large numbers of people vote for, another splinter party, then he won't win. That's just simple to understand. Go ahead.
It's way too soon for another rigged election, says Lisa. Too soon, and our economy cannot take another $650 million to reward him another year. This country needs electoral reform. Conservatives is the only choice, says Peter. 100% no other party. We got the best conservative MP, Cheryl Gallant. Peter, hear it more and more every day. No, we did that already. Let's go to Michael. They called an election during the pandemic. It wouldn't surprise me at all that they do this again.
That's a very good point. Nobody thought that he would call the election during the height of the pandemic, but he did. Yeah, very true. Thank you.
Ann says, I don't know. Sure looks like he's pre-campaigning to me. Greg says, bring on an election this fall. Gregory says, Pierre is the best thing that can happen for Canada and the entire free world, European energy and world food supplies, and an actual Canadian armed forces.
But you notice not very many people are, I don't know why the hesitancy to respond to my question. Do you think this time we can rally around whoever is chosen? Or are we going to, splinter off as we did in the last election? Not many people are responding to that question. I find it interesting.
I wonder if that's by virtue of the fact that the majority of your audience are clearly on the conservative side of things.
Yeah, but they also know. I mean, everybody out there knows people who, in all probability, somebody that voted for another conservative candidate. Go ahead.
Okay, so then is the question better asked then? Do you think your friends will come on board?
Yeah. Friends, neighbors, yeah.
Do you think the majority of people will, do away with the Max Berniers of the world and focus on the big three in order to...
Precisely.
All right.
That's... Yeah.
Janet says, and Jen, I think this is the first time we've heard from you. She says, I guess it depends on who's chosen. Peter says, U.S. states are bringing back mask mandates. Heard it on the news this morning. So Trudeau might encourage masks again. See a few people locally wearing them. Derek says, Pierre has taken over some of the fringe party issues. So I think this upcoming election will be different so long as he can keep the moderate conservatives in check. It's an interesting comment. Appreciate that. Some thought into that. Gregory says, Pierre, no, we did that already. Glenn says, I am prepared to support whomever gets elected the conservative leader. My preference is Pierre, but I will support the leader so we can just get rid of the liberals.
That's precise. That's the attitude that can win. Go ahead, John.
Our war chest is strong. Our new leader, Pierre, will be ready and quite capable of winning a majority over the liberals in a fall election.
Yeah, but see, that's okay. But everybody almost is saying, yeah, Pierre, but would you still support? Supposing Pierre doesn't win, supposing somebody else wins, would you still support them? That's the question here. No matter who the leader, are you this desperate to get rid of Trudeau? Go ahead, please.
Janet says she cannot support if Charest is chosen.
Well, there you go. See,
Jagmeet may not win, so Junior will lose that support, says Gina. Okay, there you go. And Debbie says
that doesn't make any sense either. I mean, that last statement doesn't make any. If he doesn't win, then it's after the election.
So, Gina, are you talking about him not winning his seat?
Yeah, but I mean that would be after the election. Be a little late then.
That's a good point.
Go ahead.
True. We have to stand together no matter who is our leader, says Debbie, for the greater good of our country.
Yes, that's precisely it.
Why doesn't Poilievre approach Bernier and see if he can come together like the Reform Party did with the PCs decades ago, asks Lisa.
I don't know. Maybe he has. I have no idea.
To YouTube, Woodenhead, Pierre has the fire that will get people to the polls regardless of who the leader will be. And says, I will support whoever wins as the leader of the Conservatives. Need to get Trudeau out. Craig says, I will support any of the candidates. And people are talking amongst themselves. That's all the comments we've got for the show today, Lowell Green.
All right. Well, thank you very much. And we'll be back tomorrow. This is going to be very interesting. A fall election, I would think the odds are about 50-50. It would be sneaky, but it would, as I say, it would be very Trudeau. Thank you all. Back tomorrow.
The Lowell Green Show is seen and heard live around the world at 2 p.m. Eastern. Connect with us online at blasttheradio.com/Lowell Green. Can't join us live? Download the Lowell Green podcast. Available on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. Ask your smart speaker to play the Lowell Green podcast. This is a production of blasttheradio.com.